There was once a little boy who was in love with love. It was the first thing he thought of when he woke up in the morning, what he hoped to dream of when he went to sleep at night. At school, he'd think of love during his lessons, geography, physics, gym. He didn't see the point of geography or physics. He didn't see the point of gym. Love was so much more important, surely, and so much more interesting. He didn't see why they couldn't just study that. His grades weren't very good. Of course, the little boy had no first-hand experience of love. He was, after all, a little boy. But on his 8th birthday, his parents had bought him a radio, all of his very own. He kept it in his bedroom. And after he'd done his homework and he'd done his chores, it was to the bedroom he'd go. He'd lie on the bed, turn on the radio, and listen to the love songs that came out. And there were so many. He listened to the ones that were sheer celebrations of love, telling the world how great love made them feel and how unashamed they were of that. They were in love, and that was all there was to it. There'd be drums, possibly, and loud guitars, and the songs would be fast, and it would sound as if the singers were almost laughing over the words. These songs made the boy happy. And when he was a little older, he listened to the other love songs, the songs that were about wanting love, crying out for love, wondering where love had gone, or even more despairing, about being in love that wasn't love after all, or was love but the wrong kind of love. These songs were much more confusing. They made the boy sad, and in a funny way, they made him happy too, even happier, somehow, than the happy songs had. He learnt what love was, a matter of getting the right notes in the right order, and hoping the right words wouldn't get in the way and spoil everything. By the time he was 12, after countless evenings of diligent study, the boy had heard every single love song in the world. And he liked them all. He had his favourites, of course he had. He had 289 favourites. But there wasn't one love song he didn't respect, and which hadn't taught him something. He never meant to compose a song of his own, but one night, as he dreamt about love, a tune began to play in his head. He'd absorbed so many songs, because a much part of his life was breathing or eating, and somehow the best bits of the best of them had got mixed up and produced something new. He woke with a start. He didn't know how to write music, he didn't know how to tape his voice, so he stayed up all night, walking around the house, singing the new song under his breath over and over again so he wouldn't forget it. When his parents got up at dawn, they were shocked to see their little boy shivering with exhaustion, the catchiest of melodies on his lips. They listened to the song. The boy couldn't really sing very well, and he had to explain where the drums and guitars came in, but the parents exchanged glances in awe. That, said his daddy gravely, is a love song, all right. Daddy didn't go to work that day. He phoned a friend who knew someone who might be able to help. Daddy took his little boy to see this man, and for a fee, the stranger wrote down the song with staves and treble clefs. Is that it, said Daddy, that's his song? That's his song, said the man, pocketing the money, and we never met, right? And the little boy took the paper on which his song was now inscribed. He didn't know it like that, but it gave him a thrill of pride anyway to see it. And then he just keeled over, fast asleep right there and then. He really was very tired. Daddy went to the post office for the right forms and filled them in. And the next day, as instructed, he took the little boy into the city to get his love song registered. Mummy made them sandwiches for the trip. The government buildings were stone and grey. There was nobody on reception. A notice at the front told prospective songsmiths to take a ticket and wait until their number was called. It also said that there must be no smoking and no littering, and in particular, the humming of unregistered music was expressly forbidden. Daddy and the little boy took seats. A number was called, and a man at the far side of the room got up, stretched, and shuffled through swing doors down a corridor. The little boy calculated that there were 128 people in the queue ahead of them. There were no other children in the waiting room, mostly men with beards and raincoats, each holding in their hands a post office form and sheets of music paper. Is everyone here to get their song registered? Asked the boy. I think they must be. Why do we need to get songs registered? Well, said Daddy, and handed him a sandwich. Otherwise, It'd be chaos, wouldn't it? Look around. The little boy did. Without registration, there'd be another 128 songs in the world for us to listen to. That doesn't sound so bad. Oh, 128 doesn't sound bad, agreed Daddy, but that's just today. There'd be another 128 tomorrow, maybe more. You'd end up in a world that has so many love songs in it, we'd be swamped in them. We wouldn't know what to listen to. We might miss out on the 1,000 good love songs we'd enjoy because we couldn't find them amidst all the bad ones we wouldn't. The boy liked his sandwich. It was tuna. It was the 17th best sandwich filling in the world. And at last, it was the boy's turn. His daddy rushed him from his drowse. "Come on," said Daddy, and offered him his hand. The boy was really too old now to need his hand held, but he took it gratefully. They walked through the swing doors and down a long corridor. "Come in," said a clerk inside a cubicle, and then, on seeing the boy, "No, composers only. That's protocol. You'll have to leave your little boy outside." "I'm not the composer," said Daddy. "My little boy is." The clerk blinked in surprise, just the once, then regained his composure. The clerk held out his hand for the form. Daddy gave it to him, and the clerk read it briefly. Then the clerk held out his hand for the song, and, taking it, fed it into the computer on his desk. "Aren't you going to read it?" said Daddy. "No need. The computer is wholly impartial. It's not affected by quirks of personal taste. It measures the song on timbre, meter, rhythm, and cultural importance." The computer whirred as it made its assessment, and the clerk smiled thinly at the little boy. "Shan't be long now." And then the computer made a happy little ping. This time, the clerk didn't bother to hide his surprise and blinked repetitively. "Does that mean," asked the boy, "that my song is one of the top 1,000 in the world?" "Yes," said the clerk. "Yes, it would appear so. Yes, if I just check my... Yes." He tapped away at his keyboard. "It's 914th, he said. "Well done." With a new respect, the clerk went on to explain to the little boy that the government would now be purchasing his song and all future rights appertaining. The boy would receive a handsome stipend once a month, index-linked to adjust for inflation, that he should start listening to the radios because he'd be hearing his own song playing there soon. "But what happens," asked the boy, "to a song that's 914th already?" "Well," said the clerk, "that'll become 915th. It'll shuffle down the rankings. They'll all shuffle down until they reach 1,000. "And what happens," asked the boy, "to number 1,000? "Quite right," said the clerk approvingly, though the boy couldn't see why. He'd only asked him a simple question. "I'll deal with that right now." He turned to his computer, tapped on his keyboard for the shortest few seconds, and erased Elvis Presley's blue suede shoes forever. On the bus ride home, Daddy realised they could now have afforded a taxi. Taxis were the 14th best transportation in the world, whereas buses were only at 347. "Never mind," he laughed. "Taxis from this point on. I'm proud of you, son. Not a bad day's work, eh?" And the little boy agreed. "I'm going to write some more songs now," he said. "I'm already getting ideas."